allows a price point for a collector to be a collector of your work, and you and I have talked about this a couple of times, that you feel strongly about having something for somebody that's approachable for the average person to be a collector of fine art.
Well, that's true. I mean, I like, most of my friends can't afford my work. You know, it's kind of, you know, like the rodeo guys I hang with. They don't go out and buy art sculpture, but I wanted to have a price point where even a very beginning collector can collect something of mine if they want, and I think that's good. I mean, I have pieces priced anywhere from $500 up to $250,000. It just depends. Mostly, it depends on the size of them. I mean, people don't realize how expensive bronzes are to cast. And if I knew how expensive they really were, I don't know if I'd have got into the business, because I didn't think. That's when that ignorance comes in for a good factor there. But I mean, I have months. My foundry bill is averaging close to $20,000 a month. So I got to keep selling a lot of work to keep that going. And me and Seth talked about it. Like when you first doing these limited editions, and they're all handmade. So they're not like stamped out or anything. They're all done lost wax, and there's so much hand work in each one. And for each replica of a bronze you see, there's a wax that's destroyed that looks just like it. Whether it's this big T-Rex was made, you can see how big he is here in these pictures. That's why I like putting them on there. Every part of that was done in wax first, and that wax was destroyed in the casting. That's why they call it lost wax casting process. So bronzes are very expensive just because of all the labor involved in them. But one thing about bronze, it is tough, and it will last through a house fire. Tonight when I give a slide, a gentleman sent me his house burnt to the ground, and he had two of my bronzes, and they're both still standing right there. And the house burned all the way around him. And you got to put new bases and repatina them, but the sculpture is still there.
And then last thing I wanted to talk about, a little bit about, maybe Chris, is you have some family pictures down there on the end near the video. I know family is very important to you, and you have at least one member of your family here with you I know you want to recognize.
Yeah, I was going to bring her up more at the lecture, but my wife, Lynn, she's been with me. We've been married for 37 years, got married pretty young. And she's my partner and the love of my life. And when I got hurt real bad, I got hurt really bad in a bad horse wreck about a little over 2.5 years ago. And there's some pictures on the wall taken 1 second before that wreck. And I did that sculpture. She had to take care of me, and we had we had a monument to get done, and she helped me get it transported. She to become a truck driver and hauled me and my horses back and took care of me. And like I said, you know, a man's only as good as the woman he's got with him, right? And I got a good one. Wave your hand up, honey. They call that a keeper.
All right, we've got time for a couple of questions from the audience. Yes.
Did you take pictures of the armature of this one as you were working?
Yeah, I mean, they have a life-size T-Rex on display in Wyoming, a skeletal. It's at the Dinosaur Museum. And I got some castings that they actually gave me a skull casting of a real T-Rex. And I was able to take measurements and dimensions and do that. I mean, it's nice when you can work from a model. I mean, there's not too many, but you know what, one thing nice about doing a T-Rex, I mean, how many people are going to say, hey, you didn't get this quite right? And one of the funnest things I ever did was sculpt this head. I sculpted this head in like 2 days on this side. And I started putting all these ridges on there, and I just throwing clay, and I had to pound it with my fist and using my rake, and I just started getting into it. And I thought, I mean, who's to say I'm doing it wrong, you know? I had a little freedom there. I mean, I wanted to get it as right as I could, but I didn't have a lot to look at. I didn't have a lot to go by. So I got to do what I call free-forming. And I like to do those with the quick draws. You know, I do quick draws twice a year. I do one at Cody, and I do one at the Jackson Hole Art Festival and the Buffalo Bill Art Festival. And you got to do a sculpture in an hour or 90 minutes. Now they both just switched to 90 minutes because all the artists were complaining, saying, we need a little more time. And you can get out a nice design and a rough composition, but you can't do a finished piece in 90 minutes. It's hard to do. But you can get the design. And I think a good sculpture is a good sculpture without all the little details, the nostrils, the eyes, you know, the little nuances that a lot of people like all that super detail. But I mean, a good sculpture is about design, composition, flow. I mean, you just kind of know when it is. I have a tendency to overwork some of my pieces. The older I get, the looser I hope to get. But, you know, everybody has their own signature and doing their work. And so I just kind of do them. And finally, when I say that's as good as I'm going to do, I got to quit and walk away from it.
Just also asking about the armature for this, if you have pictures of it, and it's just the skeleton. Did they do a lot of photo documentation of this work?
Yeah, we did a little bit of it. I mean, the armature of it, this is one of the ones I had foam enlarged. So I did this maquette. Now with the computer generation, you can send them out and have them foamed. This was a foamed one. The ones that weren't foamed commercially were the Lane Frost, the Thunderbird, the When Champions Meet. Those pieces were all done the old-fashioned way.
But I was talking about the maquette, when you did the armature on the maquette.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm building one tomorrow. If you come to my workshop, I'll show you how it's done. No, but it's the same thing. It's a skeletal system. So what I do is I use aluminum wire. And like all these ribs and stuff like that, I'll run an aluminum wire all through this sculpture. And the reason I like to use aluminum, it's got some tensile strength, but you're able to move it around. And so, like, you know what's great about working with clay and aluminum wiring is, like, see, if I made this tail real straight, I can go in there and put that bend in there to give it some movement. And so what I'll do is I'll place that in there. And then I have a really strong T that comes in here that holds everything together. And like I said, I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. Like that armature I've got built for tomorrow, you could turn that into a horse, a dog, anything you want. It's just turning the wire the way you want it. But I make all my own armatures. I don't buy pre-made armatures. I like the ones that I make are a lot better. They're more versatile, and you can reuse them. Does that answer? An armature, it's like your skeletal system is an armature of your body. So basically, you're making bones for your sculptures to hold the clay. And the bones in our body hold our muscles. And the armature wires hold the clay, which represents the muscles. Does that explain it? Any other questions? Well, I really appreciate everybody coming here and listening to my talk.
Thank you, Chris. All right, couple of quick housekeeping announcements. At 6 o'clock, we have a very special moment we're going to do downstairs. We're going to officially name the museum store in honor of one of our patrons here at the museum. So if you'd like to be involved in that, be in front of the store at 6 o'clock. Then at 7 o'clock, Chris is going to do more of a slideshow, more of a little formal presentation and show you some work that are not here in the exhibition and talk a little bit more about his career. And so we will tell you the bar is open in about 10 minutes, so look around here, and at 5:30 the bar will open. 6 o'clock we'll see you at the store, 7 o'clock we'll see you in the theater, and we're adjourned. Thank you for coming out.